going on, everybody? Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls. Don't mind my dogs. They are going crazy. Crazy. Um, Hopefully everybody's doing good. We are running like a couple minutes behind. Psych ward will be here shortly. Daddy Bro is actually out sick with the flu that's apparently been going around like crazy. And um, yeah, then we've still got uh, Leo. He's out. I don't know when he'll be coming back. So it's just me for now. It's just me. That's right. Um, and there's a couple things like I could talk about, but let's talk about something else. I have questions actually, more questions than anything. It's the man himself. Yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm all by myself right now. Uh, but how you doing? Are you on Valorant right now? Doing good. Doing good. That's fantastic. Um, yeah. Doing some Valorant? Nah. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna be talking about some things that chilling at the moment. That hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, so be talking about a couple things before we Psych Ward gets in here, because once he gets in here, it, it's strictly business. Um, but I'm gonna talk about a couple things as a veteran that I'm noticing about or that our government's doing, right? And it's not anything bad. Like there's a couple things that Trump has done, and I think a lot of us are on the same page um, by saying that he's doing what we needed him to do. A couple things I'm a little bit of. Oh look, look! Now I'm talking about this, and now look, all of a sudden he's like right here, right here. There he is. See this? I start talking about Trump and stuff, and then all of a sudden he shows up. Can you even hear me? You can't hear me? Not at all? Everybody else can hear
Can you
me.
hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
It's your headset. What? She's got it all set up wrong. So, anyways, um, it's a setting. That's true. You got it figured out yet? Psych ward. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Since he can't hear me, he can't say nothing. um, so Trump is doing a lot of things that I think are good. Good for the country. Okay. Trump's a businessman. He understands business. He does business. If you look at America like a business, he's doing it good. A couple things I could be like, nah, I'm good without that. Well, dang it, Psych, what are you doing? Watch, he's gonna call me. So, anyways, here I'm gonna pull that back out. Go back to here. There we go. So, um, he runs the country like a business, which is good. It's smart. It's fantastic. You know, even Elon Musk, whenever he went in and took over X, what's now called X, when it was originally Twitter, what did he do? He went in, he changed everything about it, everything, and look at it now. It's flourishing. It was a major deficit when he took it over, and he has been able to flip it to where he's making his money back. I think that's smart. Smart. Uh, the I'm not even going to label it left or right because I think this is all just bullshit at this point now. Um, you don't have to be left wing, right wing, or anything. You just have to understand basic economics. Basic. Does it make sense? Does it make money? If it doesn't make sense and it doesn't make money, then we shouldn't be doing it. And that's where I'm at. Can you hear me now, Chris?
Yep.
Type yep, that one.
I'm always in here fat fingering stuff on my keyboard earlier when I was giving Nadia a bath, so who knows what
Ah,
she hit.
there you go.
So what were you talking about?
I was just talking about how the it at this point it's no longer left or right, Democrat, Republican. It doesn't even matter. Red, blue, none of it really
Mhm.
matters anymore. Um, all you have to understand is basic economics to understand what is going on with the government. Trump is running America like a business, like he knows. That's what he knows. If you look at America like a business, which 90% of it is, the other 10% is paperwork. So everything about America represents business and capitalism. Look at it like that, and you'll understand why he's able to do what he's able to do and then turn a deficit into a profit.
Yeah, I mean somebody should be keeping check of all of our like expenditures and all that stuff. There is a little bit of a difference compared to like because the the government shouldn't be trying to make profits off of what they're trying to benefit within our government. They should be trying to make profits off of like what they're exporting out, I guess.
Yeah.
But even then, like that should technically be.
Well, I mean, with all the stuff that we found out this week
Mhm,
that the government was doing,
mhm.
and which is essentially profiting off of our tax dollar and
Well,
then turning
everybody
around.
know like everybody knows that pockets have been lined for years, right? Like
Yeah. Well,
that's
not as deep as we initially thought. I don't think
well,
that
I
anybody
think
realized how bad it was.
I think everybody knew. Like our corruption levels are probably just as high as like some of these places we point fingers at.
Like Russia.
Yeah. Well, or Ukraine.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's people have their yeah. Anyways, it hopefully it all gets figured out. But I mean, obviously, like when you have people that don't have term limits, they've been there forever and ever. They make more money than they made when they first got in. They're not working for like a standard government salary.
Yeah.
Like they're not a G whatever. Like which they should be.
Right.
Like they should be in a government salary. Sure, like that should be a good job to get into, and like if you want to do government, great, like it's a good job to get into, you can make decent money, right, like an officer pay or whatever. And
Mhm.
like if you do get up in the higher levels, I understand like getting paid more or whatever because your responsibilities are higher, but it still shouldn't be extravagant, and it should be one of those things where you do 30 years and you can fully retire, like but
Yeah.
then you're pushed out, like just like in
Yeah.
the military, like you're pushed out at 30 years. I mean, there's plenty of other situations too where you're in a job for a certain period of time. You reach your limit to where you're no longer productive or like you're not keeping up with, what you need to be keeping up with in your industry to be at the top of your game. And so it's time for you to go.
Yeah.
Like that's what it should be like. But we know like if your pockets are being lined, any human being that's put in a position where they say, here, do this job, you don't have to do a lot. You're going to get paid. You'll be well taken care of. Nobody's going to push back on that. It's
Yeah.
just human nature. Like, sure, like, why not? Like my
Yep.
family's going to be taken care of. Cool. Like, I got generational wealth fed by the government. Okay. Like, I'm good with that. I'm not going to sneeze at it. I'm not going to make, I'm not going to ripple the waters or whatever. But um, Trump and the people that he's bringing in to do this stuff don't need that. They've already got their wealth.
Right. Exactly.
Trump's got, I mean, uh, some people have like, um, some people have generational wealth. Trump's generational wealth, generational wealth has wealth.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those like Elon's the same way, right? Like those people just like they're set, right? They've made it so much money that as long as like people continue to take care of it properly, like it'll be there. Like it's not going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, obviously there's things that can happen, uh, but anyway, so there's nothing swaying him, right? If anything, he's losing money by being in office, which he did the first time around.
Yeah.
Um, so
And Trump or Musk is doing the same thing. He's not doing
yeah,
it for money. He's
no.
not. He's not taking a dime.
Um, and all the people that are okay, so the first red flag is when somebody starts waving their hand like, "Don't look into that." Like,
Hmm. That's it's true. That's true.
it's,
Don't do that.
it's like,
Do-
don't do that. Like, there's so many people that are going to be like involved in that. Like, that's not good to pull that string. It's like, okay, that's the first one we should pull then, I guess.
Yep.
Like, you know,
And I mean, I hate to
um,
say it, but the left has been doing that, and I don't. It's not fair to even
I don't,
say the left anymore
I don't think
because
it's left. I think it's just
it
government in
it's
general.
the
Like,
it's the corrupt. It
there's
it
There's enough corruption in the government that has gotten out of hand. It's probably been around for a long, long time. I think I think there was more ethics. There's more ethical. I mean, obviously this is a use case, right? Because there's some people that didn't have high ethics even back in the day. But I think there's more ethics in the work people did previously, just by the way that they were raised, like their generation type.
right.
So I think in the last probably like two generations, it hasn't been there, maybe 3, like, it hasn't
Hmm.
been as strict, like and let me put it this way, like, when I say ethics, like, one is work ethics, but the other is, like, patriotism ethics,
Yeah.
because my grandparents my grandfather was first generation German, my grandmother was first generation French, um, to the United States.
Right.
My mother and her aunt, or my mother and her sister, spoke German and French in the home,
Hmm.
but if they had company or they're outside of the home or they're anywhere else where they weren't again inside their home or around family, they spoke English.
Right.
And that's just the way it was, right? Because you're in America, the American language is English, so on and so forth. And if you go to any other country, it's similar to that. There's very few countries. There's a lot of countries that speak English because of the amount of help that we give to some of those countries, or the amount of money that gets poured into those countries for people that do speak English. But um, at some point in time, we lost that like drive to be patriotic for our company or for our country, and it even got to a point to where it's like, if you are patriotic, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And so that like, I don't know, anyways, and all the people that think that way, like, okay, great, like turn back in whatever like government funding you're getting.
Yeah.
Like if that's the case, like turn in your card, like go
Yeah.
figure it out. Like if you don't like it, then like sign up to go somewhere else. Like, you're not hurting anybody here, obviously. Like you're just taking from everything. Like you're not being a productive citizen at that point.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. That's just obviously that's just all opinion, right? Like, but it's what's been happening. Like, anyways, um,
I mean, it that's true. Like everything you said there is true. So I just I'm surprised though to see what is being done now. Like the corrupt are actually showing their corrupted colors. And it's not red or blue, it's not left or right. It's
mm,
the corrupt versus the morally correct.
there's a bunch of people backpedaling right now, trying to
Yeah.
figure out how do I cover my ass now because I've been involved in this for however long,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
um, and trying to figure out like what do they now do to make sure that they're not impacted by it anymore,
Yeah.
But
Yep. I hear somebody yelling in the background.
yeah, I'm sure it always happens no matter what.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Let me figure out what's going on.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So while he's working on that, I'll let him handle his. He's got a. His daughters are yelling for him. But so yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's a lot of the, like I just said, the corrupt versus the morally correct. And on top of that, like if you add in the common sense factor, a lot of this stuff is it just doesn't make sense. Like transgender mice, why? Why did we spend $241 million on figuring out if animals can tolerate transgenderism and party drugs? I don't know. Something smells fishy. So there's that. Um, and of course, like I move too much, and the camera goes. I don't know if you're there. Um, so there's that. From a veteran standpoint, like it just doesn't make any sense at all. Um, Honestly, I think more Trump esque type people actually need to be running for office and less lifetime politicians. Like that, it just doesn't make any sense. Um, and I'm not talking about Jeff Bezos or um, Mark Zuckerberg. Like those two are probably just as corrupt as the rest of them. I'm talking about somebody that doesn't give a shit about politics. They're not in the game. They're not in it for anything other than to make to see America flourish. If you're in it for anything else, you're doing it wrong. Plain and simple. If you're in it to cover your ass, you shouldn't be in it. Sorry. Uh, I mean, that pretty much gets rid of all of Biden's family. Um, so yeah, there's that. And
All
then,
right.
so we can move on. Moving on, we can move on. That's good.
Can we talk about my
Can we?
broken ass character?
Oh, good God. We could talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about it.
So I
So
made a new character.
yeah, yeah,
It's a scofflaw fighter, so I'm using 2014 rules to make it happen because it hasn't been one of the ones that have been approved in the 2024, which I think everybody's kind of mixed matching anyways because they got rid of all the humanoids in the monster manual, which is a whole another issue.
yep,
Um, their form of DEI, or is that what it is? DEI, yeah, their form
yeah,
of DEI and all that stuff. Like, so, anyways, so there's no more drow, there's no more orcs, there's no more like all that stuff's gone now out of the monster manual. So we have to use 2014 or create our own, which is fine.
yep.
But uh, anyways, so I rolled a and I almost purposely did this too because they also got rid of half races or half species. So I made a half orc and a half uh, uh, Goliath, mainly Goliath traits. The father's Goliath, the mother's orc, um, and yeah. So the mother's dead; she's no longer around. The father like raised him, but he's been kind of like on the for the first like 15 years of his life, he was on the outskirts of like the tribe or whatever until he made a name for himself.
Mhm.
And so he's kind of had a rough life. But he's the size of a Goliath. So he's like 7'10". But he's got the features of an orc. So he's got the tusk and he's got the like the pointy ears and all that stuff. And so he looks out of place. Um, and so anyways, uh, he's a
I,
scofflaw fighter.
I
So
was actually
scoff
going to say though, one of the things that I might actually require you to do for your character,
Yeah.
because I am giving you this one that one trait of like the night vision,
Yeah,
where
I
it's
cut it
like
in half
dim
because it was
light.
120 feet, and so I gave it 60.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
and I'm
but
not
one of the
taking like the indomitable or whatever it is, where like when you fall down, you never go to zero.
yeah.
Like that's the other trait what I didn't take.
So one of the things I'm going to require your character though
Mhm,
is in those low light scenarios,
mhm,
whenever light flashes by you, you know how like a cat and dog's eyes they glow.
yeah,
Your eyes do the same thing.
that's cool. Because my eyes was glowed anyways as a Goliath.
Yeah, yeah, but this is that different kind of glow where it kind of
That's
reflects
fine.
back.
I I like it when things come to the light.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
character likes that stuff anyway. So, anyways, so it's a scofflaw fighter, which means it has proficiency on improvised weapons. And I found an entire Reddit post on what improvised weapons are. So I've got a whole host of ideas.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
But what myself and one of the other players that's playing Druid found out is um, if we find either scrolls or potions or a ring of enlargement, uh, with the new Goliath build, you can grow one size larger. Well, um, I'm a medium size. I can grow to large, but I have powerful build, which means I can uh, pull, push anything the next size up. So if I'm large, then it would be
Mhm.
gargantuan? Is that what
Yeah,
it is? Yeah. Um, no,
and then
large,
Colossus, it's
gargantuan, then colossal, right? No.
colossal. Yeah,
No, large, huge, gargantuan, colossal.
yeah, that's right.
So,
I knew there was huge in
uh,
there, and I was just like, wait, where am I putting that in at?
yeah, at
So
all
yeah, it's large.
times I can lift stuff large because I'm
Right,
just a medium-sized character. But then when I grow for 10 minutes to large, then I can lift stuff that's huge. But
right,
if I have the ring of enlargement, then I can make myself large, which no, make myself huge, which then means I can lift things that a gargantuan creature would. And then if the druid also, because there's nothing that says you can't stack them in the rules, unless the DM says you can't, then the then the druid can stack enlarge on top of what I've already done my enlarge on, which then puts me at gargantuan, which then means that I have colossal strength, and that's like 9,600 pounds is what I can lift, push, pull. So,
yeah.
um,
And I'm not the DM to like say, no, you can't do. I'm the DM that's like, no, actually, that it's legitimate. Like, if you can actually legitimize what it is that you're doing, I'm like, yeah, yeah, like that makes sense, doesn't it?
so we're just waiting for the one time that we run into the mage at the top of the tower, and instead of going up the tower, I'm just gonna pull the whole fucking tower down.
The Ant Man with Hulk strength. That's what you are.
So,
So
anyways, it's been a
ri-
fun build though, and
ridiculous.
now I'm going through and doing all my improvised weapons add-in, which I'm gonna have to continue doing probably tomorrow. Um, it's gonna take some time. Uh, s- Speaking of, I mean, we can talk about it after this, I guess. Like all the stuff we have to get together and get ready and stuff for tomorrow.
Mhm.
But anyway, so I guess that's one thing we can do an update if you haven't already is like we have put in the license for the nonprofit.
I didn't actually go into any of that yet.
Okay,
I was waiting for you to
cool.
come in, and then we were gonna. I figured we could
Yeah,
talk about
so
it
we put in for the nonprofit earlier this week. It takes a little bit more time than the for-profit on like the amount of time it takes to get all the licensing back and all that stuff. But I don't see there being any restrictions. The only thing I have to do is like within the first 45 days, we have to do our first like articles and all that stuff, articles of
then. Yep.
incorporation, and all that stuff, and put that in. So, anyways, um, the thing that hung us up on the last go around was the word or the abbreviated word veteran.
Yeah.
So we've cut that out. It was VD4GM, which we're still going to use once we get the license in another manner. Still going to be tied to all of this. It's just probably going to be more focused on. We'll figure out what we want that to focus on. But
Mhm.
for now, what we're doing is we're using Roll for Heals for the for-profit and Roll to Heal for the nonprofit. Um,
Correct.
and so that's all been submitted. I simply went on our local DFW D&D, like looking for group posts, put on kind of a brief idea of what we were doing, and in like I could say 16 hours total, I got 79 responses. Um, three of those uh, were therapists that want to be involved in some way, some shape or form. There's a bunch of people that are not veterans or first responders, but want to figure out how they can like be involved, or just like really like the idea and want to spread the word. There's other veterans and first responders that aren't nearby that want to know whether or not they can open up their own chapters. There's DMs ready to DM for us in other areas. There's like all these people that started kind of talking about it. And that was literally a post that said we got two seats at our table.
Yeah.
So, so
And you know it's so crazy though because I was when we were originally started talking about this, I didn't think it would blow up that big.
yeah.
Like I really didn't think that it would actually be something like, oh yeah, I want to be a part of that. I want to do this.
Well,
And
now the
so
problem we have is that we have six people at the table, and we have to see whether or not like somebody's gonna play in the campaign. I'm gonna be DMing to like
mhm,
spread the love across to everybody, so it's not like a super slow campaign because you have six people, or seven uh if oh,
if
wanted to
Daddy
get in.
Bro.
Yeah, so technically, right? No, it'd be like seven or eight because right now there's six on there. Blix's character is not like it's showing as it's on there, but it's showing as like a non um, added character.
Mhm.
So we've got seven right now, like
Oh
signed
wow.
up, and so that would put us at eight if Daddy Bro was
But
on there.
so Daddy Bro is
So,
sick, so I don't know if he's actually going to start if he's going to join us right now.
okay, which is fine because, like I said, I plan on running an adventure series, which I think there's a couple of people that are already saying that they think that it's going to be difficult to make it all the time or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll see. There's one guy that's showing up tomorrow that's like, I don't know if I am or I'm not going to play. So I would rather, if that's the case, and we have that many people there, I would like to talk to him about possibly going over to the other campaign. But we'll see how it all works out. Like we'll talk to
Right.
everybody tomorrow and find out what everybody wants to do. I'd like to play in the campaign since I'm going to be DMing the other, the other game.
Right.
But if for some reason I can't, then that's fine. But
I think we'll get it squared away, man. Like
yeah, we'll figure
I
out.
don't
But
see us
it's
having a big problem with
it's
that.
a good issue though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
no, it
it's a
really
good issue
is.
that we have like people that want to be involved. There's a guy driving all the way from Fort Worth um, that wants
There's
to be involved. There's a
another
guy
one,
that lives in
Van.
Mansfield. That is a guy coming in from Van. There's one coming in from Fort Worth. There's a guy that lives in Mansfield that already told us that he has like a dedicated D&D table at his house that he's willing to like share if we don't have like space in my house or at the gaming place we're going to. I talked to the gaming place and they're like, we aren't going to charge you guys anything.
Yeah,
So like all we do is ask you to buy some snacks or something while you're here. So I mean, like there's a lot of stuff going in our direction with this, which is awesome.
right.
So all good stuff, right? Like from where we're at. Now it's just waiting on the paperwork to come in so we can get all that going. I had a very busy week, so I didn't do anything with Roll for Heels this week.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I started
um,
a new job, so I was swamped all week.
well, and the
Um,
kids had the flu and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a hell of a
yeah,
week. But so anyways, so roll for like I'm hoping originally
mhm,
I wanted to do something like a soft launch in February. It's probably looking like March or April, depending on when all that happens for Roll for Hills. It's not a money grab. That's the thing. Like, would I like it to be a full time job or whatever? Sure, that'd be awesome. Like to be able to do that full time and give back to like the nonprofit and be able to work the nonprofit full time, like all that stuff
yeah,
and comfortably make a salary that I need to make to support my family and all that stuff, right? So,
Mhm.
um, but if uh, if not, or if it takes a while, that's fine because that's not what it's about. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's not what we're doing. Like so anyways, I
Yeah, and
feel
that's
confident in like my business building abilities, which I think uh shows, like in kind of what we've done so far,
yeah.
but um but it's not like a requirement to have to make it work because even if something went south with my work, like I've got a good enough resume to go find another job. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
so it's not like we have to make this thing work a certain way. Like I want it to work. We have to make it work for the reason, which isn't monetary. It's for the purpose of it.
Yeah, the purpose
So
is what's
um
it's what drives everything though.
yeah.
And what's funny about that though, and I think that I think both me and Heather kind of went through a PTSD moment
Mm,
and we didn't realize we were going through it. And we've actually talked about it. And so we were like, well, maybe it's this. And so we talked things out. We've been able to fix things. So that's nice.
yeah.
That's nice, especially once you take a moment and you're like, okay, well, maybe we maybe I did do this. Maybe it was that way. So um, yeah, I think that this is all for. I think this is a great cause.
Yeah.
The cause is profound. Um, a
There
lot of
was
people
one.
are actually suffer from it,
Yeah.
and there we can help.
I'm the thing is there's one guy in particular that I wanted to join and he didn't. I'm hoping he joins us eventually, but I think he's just not ready to take that jump. But because even I know his wife, so even his wife was like, I really hope that he joins your group. Because he's
Yeah.
he's having a tough time right now, but he's got a lot of other stuff going on that he's trying to figure out right now. So uh, when he's ready, he's ready. We're here. You know what I mean? But I also don't want to be so passive that he never reaches out because he needs that like push or whatever to make it happen. So we'll figure
Right.
it out. But anyways, so we're gonna run into that, and that's gonna be something that I would like to have those conversations with those therapists that we're gonna be talking with. So there's a couple of them that have already reached out and said they want to have coffee and stuff and just like talk through like what we're doing and all that stuff. And so that's probably gonna happen in the next couple of weeks or so with a couple of them.
Preferably, we can do this on like a Monday or Sunday.
Yeah, it was
One of
weekends
those
for
twos.
them. Yeah, I think it was weekends for them was going to be open or whatever, but Mondays might be open for them. I don't know, but
Otherwise, if we did it on a Saturday, we'd have to do it
mhm.
after like 6:30 or 7.
Yeah, we'll have to just work with their schedule and figure it out.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they want to meet with us just to kind of discuss what we're doing and figure out like where we're going. So I think a lot of people when they hear the idea, the reason they want to meet is they just want to know like, are you really serious about this?
Yeah.
And having the even though we don't have the license yet, having it filed says that we're taking the steps in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like so,
Hmm.
and the fact that we have the nonprofit already filed and good to go, like that's all
Yep.
solidified. Like that's the only hiccup and slowdown there is like the having the foundry licenses and all that stuff in place that we want and like the amount of people that are running it and the time to run the games and all that stuff. So that's the only slowdown we have there. So but yeah, and then there was one guy that reached out and like he's in a bad spot as far as like his body is kind of like failing him and stuff, but he's literally been playing since 1974, I think.
Oh, this is the guy that
And
for like 50 years he's been.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and he
Okay.
sent a picture of him and his brother with a piece of stained plywood and plexiglass on top of it with 2-inch grid lines drawn on it. That was their battle mat. So
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's and you can tell like the die, it's the original dice, all that stuff, and he had up the like the original like he had the book up as a DM screen
Yeah.
instead of like because they didn't have DM screens yet, and all that stuff. So like, so so anyway, it was a cool picture, but he has a lot of like he's had some major like TBI issues and all that stuff, and so he he's been DMing first edition for such a long time that like it very seldom do the TBIs interrupt that.
Right.
He's just at a point where he doesn't think that he can learn something new right now. Um, but but anyways, so um, he reached out and was just like, hey, like, would anybody be interested in running a first edition like game or one shot or like would anybody want to play that he's going to DM? And the only thing he said is like I need it quiet at the table like because he can't concentrate because of the TBIs if there's a bunch of talking going on and stuff. So we'd have to do it at like somebody's home or whatever, which is fine. Um, but I think it'd be a cool experience. Like he's got all these like rules that he's got set in place for like that are kind of a mix between first and second edition, and it's just a whole different game. Like I've never played it. I've never played first edition. Um, so, anyways,
Uh,
but
so
yeah.
I'm actually kind of excited about this. So that our viewers know, we are launching to well, launching. I am going to be running the story that I wrote out. It's not really I don't know if you really want to call it a launch as much as it is a session zero for the books that I've been writing. Super excited about this. We've got like really good players. They've been asking great questions. I'm I'm stoked about that. Right.
Well, to add to that, it's the beginning of your new campaign, and it's also the very first campaign that we're going to be running for Roll to Heal.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So, like, this is our first group of nothing but veterans that's
mhm.
for this specific purpose to get everybody kind of rolling and all that stuff to figure out like where can we go from here.
And
So,
it's the I don't want to say it's the launch of my new campaign books, but it is at the same
yeah.
time, which is awesome. Like I'm thrilled about that because it I don't know, like to me it's surreal. Oh, and then there's more surreal stuff than that, but I mean I'm stoked for that. Like that this
The game
actually has me
center too
excited.
is going to be fun because I've been in there before. Like I've never
Mhm.
played there, but I've gone in there just to like see what was going on there. And they have like a small section of books and stuff, but they have like I don't know, probably 12 tables.
Okay.
He said Sundays are normally pretty slow, so it shouldn't be an issue. I'm gonna get there. Like I was planning on just depending on what your time looks like tomorrow. I was wondering if you want me to pick you up and then I can just get there like at 11 or something or like 10:30 and we can get
Mhm.
over there early. You know what I mean? In that way, because it's
Yeah.
first come first serve. But he did say that it's not normally busy on Sundays unless they have like a tournament going on, which they don't. And they said most of their Magic tournaments are Friday and Saturday. So
Yeah. Well,
um,
Magic usually is.
yeah, so I think that's going to work good for us for now. And then like it might be good just to host there. Like if
Right.
if the internet's good and all that stuff and everything else, like there's no reason not to. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting, like to get everybody going, and I think um, some of the guys are coming back into D&D that haven't played for a while.
Hmm.
Some of them have. One guy streams his DMs, like he has a whole veteran group that streams DMs or
Yeah.
streams D&D. Sorry, um, streams all their games or whatever, and so they've been doing that for a while. But his DM is PCSing to England, so
Right.
um, so anyways, that yeah, it's just interesting to have this dynamic come together where we're gonna have a few new people or a few people that haven't played in a while, a few people that are very experienced. Um,
Hmm.
I think Blix is probably in that realm where he's coming back into it because he played fourth edition. So I think this is going to be like a re-entry for him. Um, He might have played some fifth edition, but it's been a while since he's played.
Right.
Um,
And see, I was almost thinking
uh,
about that because I do have two cameras. I can technically, we could broadcast it. Um,
yeah, I so there's a few things that I guess uh, maybe once everybody's gone, like you, Blix, and I can sit and talk for just a second, before we split or whatever.
yeah.
Um, because one of the things I want to bring up at the table is like I want, especially for Roll to Heal, and when we're at the table, I want the discussion to be around basic. Hold on one second.
You're good. He's having to deal with one of his daughters waking up. So just going to let him handle his business. And then once he's done, we'll come back to it. So for anybody that's watching, even if you watch this in the future, okay, um, I'm writing a book series for D&D. It's mostly using 2014 rules, um, but I am going to be. Uh, it's a 3-book series, with the fourth book being the grand finale. The grand finale is going to be the big one, but the first book is what we're going to be running through, which may take about a year or so. So, um, hopefully, I want to say anywhere from a year to 18 months. I think is going to be for book one.
One
Um,
of the things I wanted to like introduce to, especially to DMs that want to do it, is use Roll to Heal to help people. And maybe this is where like once we get the license for VD4GM as well, like help veterans and first responder GMs like kickstart their ideas, like their books and their
mhm,
supplemental materials and all that stuff. And like, um, I don't mind helping them set all that stuff up. I've done two uh, um, crowdfunding events before or whatever, and so I feel pretty confident in being able to help people out with it. So even with your books and stuff, like we can look at trying to do some Kickstarter stuff for it once we get it going and kind of have a good backstory of what we've been doing and why and like where the money's going to go and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
so anyways, but yeah, I think that would be awesome. The purpose behind that part is being able to put a little more money back into the veterans' pockets too.
yeah.
It's not just
Well,
for
and
roll to heal or whatever, but
being able to
um,
help people, yeah, like
yeah.
the veterans that are they're suffering.
On top of that too, though, if they have a project that they're working on, they're staying busy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So they're not just like twiddling their thumbs, not doing anything, which is the worst possible thing
yeah,
you could be doing. So that they're gonna stay super busy doing stuff like that, and if they're successful in theirs, well, then maybe they can take the next step and help somebody that wants to do theirs, and so like they can kind of
right,
guide them through like this is what I did and how I did it and why and all that stuff. So I really want this to turn into a very hands-on like group of people that are helping each other out to benefit from it. But
right. The way the
one of the things,
veterans,
oh,
I feel like one of the things that I actually do feel like that this should represent is that, like, because we're a brotherhood, sisterhood, family, whatever you want to call it. Um, that's what we do. We have each other's back, so we're always going to be there to help. And so I 100% agree with that.
one of the big things I was going to bring up tomorrow too is when we are at the table though, I would like the discussions to always remain either very like standardized discussions or D&D discussions. Like I don't want politics. I don't want like the whole reason we're
Mhm.
meeting at the table is to get away from all that stuff.
Yeah,
So I want to make sure everybody at the table is like good with that. So we're not like triggering all those things that like piss people off or whatever. And
Yep.
like that's not the reason that we're playing D&D. Like that's the whole opposite reason that we're playing it, right? Is
Yeah.
like we're trying to get everybody to get together to have fun and like be able to break away from that moment and like build that camaraderie, or that like what we've said in the past, like that tribe or whatever of like people that you can rely on, that you feel comfortable with, which takes time, but D&D helps that quicker because of the process of how you play together, and you're at the table for 4 or 5 hours at a time, you know what I mean? So anyways, it's gonna be interesting to see like how it goes.
Right.
I think the one good thing for both first responders and veterans is we have the experience of working with a lot of different personality types and a lot of people from different like backgrounds and all that stuff. And so getting together at the table is going to always be interesting because you're going to have people from like all different walks of life that are coming together to like, you know, put this whole veteran thing together. So it's going to be fun. But
Right.
um, But anyways, and it shows too. One of the things I want to capture, and of course, some of the stuff we need to like ask people if they're okay with us capturing some of this information or whatever. But one of the basic things I wanted to capture is just I want to see in this group like the people that bring the characters in and stuff, and then as we get to know them as people, like how much from those like 27 peer-reviewed studies that I've read. Um, Highlight what we see in these people at the table and the characters that they've presented.
Right.
And how that's impacting them and our nonprofit. Like, how is our nonprofit actually like helping? So,
Right.
I think that'll be a big thing. I don't think we have any idea what our KPIs are going to be yet, but eventually we're going to want to capture some type of data so we know what KPIs are that we want to follow and all that stuff, and key performance index. So, anyways, um, but just for anybody out there that's
Layman's
listening and
terms.
tracking,
Yeah. Layman's terms.
uh, but but yeah, like eventually something to say like these are our core things that like we need to track all the time. Like these are the things we need to capture on like what we're doing and why. Um, Especially if we go 501c that well, if there's an IRS left, and we have to go 501c3,
Right.
then we know what we need to
Gotta love
capture.
Elon Musk.
But anyways, I'm super excited about it. I know you are too.
Yes,
It's going to
sir.
be fun to be at the table and play. Um, I can't wait to throw wrenches in your game.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
I've already started. Like we haven't even started playing, and I've already
I
thrown a couple.
yeah. Yeah, you did. Especially with this. Oh, my Goliath's gonna be half orc. What shit? I. What was my comment earlier today? Was like, go ahead and just give him that one trait.
Yeah,
Where,
just give him the trait. Like just
yeah,
metagame the shit out of it.
yeah.
Whatever.
Go ahead. And but just keep in mind he's got the lowest level of it, the lowest form.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, no,
I cut
it's
it in
it.
half because I said he had 120 whatever. So I was like, well, let me cut that in half.
Yeah,
But being like he doesn't have most of his traits from the
the
orc
orc
side
side.
is just a physical like look. It's not and part of that too is because he's been raised by his father. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, uh, he might be part of that orc Eiffel Tower we talked about. But
Green eggs and ham,
anyways,
anybody? Oh man. So
but
how we come up with this
so
stuff, I don't
wrong.
know. Yeah. It wasn't even just you that threw wrenches in there though. I mean, we had we have a couple other guys that I'll be meeting one of them for the first time. One of them is actually one of your really good friends
Mhm.
that you've known for a while. I mean, he's had some fantastic questions. He's asked. He's been getting back and forth with me. Unfortunately, like I did take up a new job, uh, which is going to be transitioning me into um, a management position come March 1st. So it is what it is. Um, I kind of got told that today, which is nice. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't looking for a manager position at all.
Yeah,
So, but
it's good though.
yeah. Um, but they, I'm going to be transitioning into that, so I will have um, it's not so much less time, but I'll have more dedicated time to where I need to have dedicated time.
Yeah.
So, um, there's that. Then there is. So then we also have another. I went from one thing to a complete another. Anyways, let me go back to this. One of the guys that is a pretty good friend of Psych Ward's. The other one, I think he's a new guy that we just kind of picked up, right? Um,
That's playing.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So all the other guys that are coming to the table are just new.
Yeah,
I've never met him. And Blix and I uh, have known each other. Like, although we're both Coast Guard, like, and we are actually at the same base at one point in time and didn't even know it. But anyways, um,
that
Mage,
happens a lot in the military.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Mage uh, is the one that like used to have all of the like he's been doing MMO guilds since like early since Ultima Online. So like
Yeah.
he's had stuff going since like early 2000s or whatever. Blix has been a part of that since like maybe 2005 or 6. So he's been around that for a long time, and that's where I met him first. Is like there.
Mhm.
Um, so he and I have never actually like met in person, but we've like, I mean, there was a game that we had like 2,100 hours in together. You know what I mean? So like we've
Right.
we know each other that way. Like um, and anyways, um, so I've probably like known him through the computer for I don't know over a decade.
Yeah.
So I mean, and so, but yeah. So, anyways, um, and you guys have a little bit in common in the fact that he's an FS, so you kind of have like the cooking thing, all that stuff. Like you guys have
Right.
done some of that schooling and all that stuff. Like, but
Food service.
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Food
food
service.
services. Yeah. Um, but anyways, so uh, yeah, no, it'll be good to get the group together and see how everything goes. And um, we got a Marine coming. I know we got a Marine, Army. Uh, I think one guy was Navy and Army. Blix Coast Guard. I'm Coast Guard. So yeah, there was one guy that I don't know if he's Air Force or not, or was Air Force. Anyways, so we'll see. We'll see who all shows up at the table. But
Right.
if you write anything in crayon, just make sure you keep it close by.
Uh-huh. Uh, exactly. Uh, we like to use wax pencils around here
Yeah,
until they learned how to get to the creamy centers, um, where all the flavors at.
just don't let them see the string.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Don't let them
Exactly.
see the string poking out of the wax pencil,
Yeah.
else you're screwed.
Ladies, that should say a lot for you. All right. If ever you have a string, don't let them pull it because they will.
Uh,
Um. So, anyways, wow, I just went there.
there was a speaking of that, one of the guys that I play D&D with on Friday nights sent me a so the character I'm playing over there is this like uh presumptuous like prick basically, but he's like a super good paladin and like
Yeah.
but everything he does is centered around him. Like and so they went to Avernus and like were able to steal one of the Hell's Rides, the bikes, and bring it back, teleport it back. and he talked all the other people into allowing him to ride it back to like the main town or whatever to take like this person's dead body that's going to get resurrected or whatever. But when he got there, he like got to the main gate, and instead of taking the person who's going to be resurrected straight to the temple, he told the person at the main gate to go get somebody that could like capture the moment, so that way they could make a piece of art, like commission piece of art for him. And then
Mhm.
he did a wheelie on like the Hell's Bike thing all the way through the gates or whatever, and then eventually got the gate named after him and everything else. So anyways, so after that whole session, um, and
Wow.
also, uh, it just so happens, it's really funny that it happens this way. In the game, he always gets the last hit. Like it just happens. And so he's got this like chip on his shoulder, like it's him that did it.
Yeah,
And so like so anyways, um
like a
so
paladin would.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So anyhow, long story long, um he this guy like at the end of it, uh out of character, sends me this like text. So I open it up or whatever, on Discord, open it up, and it's these bath bombs, and they're like hair dryer and toaster bath bombs. And it's like that's awesome. But anyways, about pulling the string, one of them is a used tampon bath bomb that actually like changes color as it dissolves. So
Oh, that's awesome. That is the best.
so anyways, yeah, long story long,
Yeah.
he sent me
Oh,
a picture of toaster and hair dryer bath bombs, which is awesome.
that's
And
freaking
which then sparked all my memories of the toaster thing, sparked all my memories in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So
oh man. And another great movie by Johnny Depp, Fear and
which I was
Loathing in Las
really
Vegas.
shocked that they even tied that into what's that? The one with the lizard, the
Rango.
cartoon, Rango, because
Yeah.
he runs into him with the Cadillac.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I was like, "Really? They pulled that into a kid's cartoon?
Yeah.
That's not right."
That's awesome. Oh man. So yeah, fantastic. It, we, as you can see, we have a lot going on though. Um, a lot of fear and loathing
Mm.
in in good old North Texas. Uh, Not so much Las Vegas, but North Texas.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think now's a good time. We can go ahead and end the stream here. What do you think?
Cool. Yeah, we still have a little bit of prepping to do for tomorrow.
Yes, sir. We got some stuff to get done.
Cool.
So all right, fantastic. Well, appreciate everybody for joining. Samari, I appreciate you coming in with and doing a little bit of chatting with me a little while ago at the beginning of the stream. That was great. I greatly appreciate that. Um, and for everybody else, have a good one. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. If anybody's struggling, be sure to reach out to somebody. You can even reach out to one of us. We're available. Um, Psych Ward, you got anything?
988 press 1.
Yeah, 988 press 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good night. Take care. We'll see you on the next stream.